Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'll show you the recap of a 2021 American science fiction thriller titled Reminiscence. As always, spoiler alert, watch out, and take care. The movie opens in 2050 in Miami, where the effects of climate change have wreaked havoc. Extreme temperatures have melted the ice in the polar regions and caused a rise in sea levels. Cities near the ocean, such as Miami, have been hit by massive flooding, and people are forced to work during the night due to extreme temperatures during the day. The situation is worsened by a war that has left the United States divided. We meet a man named Nick, an ex-military who has since started a business alongside his former colleague named Watts. The two have refurbished a machine used by the military to draw information by reading people's minds. The machine is now capable of taking one through their memories in a realistic experience. Since the world lacks much to offer, people have opted to go back and enjoy their good old days. Among their clients is a lady named Elsa, who regularly shows up to relive her memories with her fiancé. Watts offers her a chip containing memories that she can revisit instead of wasting her money, but she declines, saying that the machine provides an enigmatic experience that she desires. As they wrap up the day, a lady suddenly storms in, asking for a favor to help retrieve her lost keys. She introduces herself as May, and her beauty instantly hooks Nick to her. They trace her day event and finally notice she accidentally dropped them. Watt is ready to pull her out of the machine, but Nick is curious to see what follows. He's impressed to notice that she is a singer and is surprised when she performs his favorite song. Nick is stunned by this and can't help but think about May as time goes by. He visits her at the club and sees her perform, after which they have a chat. Later, he escorts her home and the night comes to a great end. The film then suddenly cuts to several months later as Nick wakes up from a reminiscence. It is revealed that May disappeared months ago and left without informing him. Nick has since been reliving his memories, hoping to find a clue to her sudden disappearance. Watts is concerned about his frequent use of the medicine because its effects are harmful. She asks him to let go and says that May probably moved on. However, Nick is convinced that she's in some sort of danger as she left without notice. At that very moment, he recalls that Watts met May one day when she turned up looking for him, but found her instead. He asks her to relive the memory for any clues. Through her memories, Nick realizes that May broke into the vault when Watts turned his back for a while. They quickly go to their chips batch and realize Elsa's chip is missing, which contained her memories with her undisclosed finances. Nick now starts growing suspicious of her, as she had a motive when she came around. She sets out to find info about Elsa and comes around a friend of hers. He is surprised to learn that Elsa was eliminated by a guy some time ago. Additionally, her son was taken away by a lady whose description matches that of May. After parting ways with the lady, someone who has seemingly been tracing his steps attacks him and warns him to stop sniffing around. He then receives a call from an undisclosed party and affirms that Nick won't be a problem any longer. With the help of facial recognition, Nick retrieves his memory and identifies the guy as Cyrus. He worked for a famous land baron named Walter who passed away a while ago. Nick slowly begins to connect the dots and will identify Elsa's fiancé's voice as Walter's. It becomes clear that someone eliminated Elsa to prevent her from getting a share of Walter's wealth. All fingers point to Walter's only son, as his mother has suffered memory loss. However, he is puzzled as to why the lady whose description matched May got away with Elsa's child. This gives a flicker of hope that May is not as evil as he thinks. However, Watts shares a different perspective, saying her love for him was an illusion to get the chip that she wanted. This was to erase any evidence of Walter having a kid with Elsa. Watts asks him to walk away from the story and move on. This does not sit well with Nick, who responds harshly, saying that he is better off chasing something, not like her running from things, including her own daughter. He even fires her, saying that she needs to get a good paying job and improve her life. It's revealed that Watts has stuck by Nick since he rescued her from alcoholism and remained loyal. Watts leaves broken, and Nick enters the machine once more. Not long after, he hears a knock on the door, but when he comes out, he sees no one. However, he quickly notices an earring that he immediately identifies as May's, and tries to look around for her, but to no avail. His only way to find her is to track down Cyrus, as the duo seems to be working together. It doesn't take Nick long to trace such a renowned hooligan like him, and he is gladly waiting for his arrival. Nick intends to capture him and go through his memories for further details. This, obviously, doesn't come easily, as Cyrus puts up a spirited fight. He overwhelms Nick, but he makes a comeback and takes him down. He drags him into the machine and watches as things unfold. It all started with blackmail from Cyrus to May, threatening to finish her off. He sets a deal for her to befriend Nick and steal some chips from him. Out of her narrow options, she gives in and spends weeks sourcing details about him. She learns about his favorite song, which he sang to draw his attention. Her lost keys were also staged for her to meet him. Nick watches tearfully as he realizes it was a planned game all along. However, along the way, Cyrus realizes that May has started to develop feelings for Nick, putting their plan in jeopardy. He pressures her to move, and she finally fetches the chip and is curious to know his intentions. He openly admits that Elsa has to be eliminated alongside her kid for Walter's son to keep all of his dad's wealth. In the next cut, Cyrus approaches Elsa and finishes her off. However, May doesn't let him finish off her son, and she takes him away and rushes off to hide him. Days later, May goes back to look for Nick, but Cyrus is on standby waiting for her. He takes her away and leaves behind her earring for Nick to find. Nick now wraps the story around his head and realizes that May is a good person who is changed by the circumstances. The memories then fast forward, and Cyrus holds her while trying to get information about Elsa's kid's whereabouts. She fails to disclose but sends a coded message to Nick as if knowing he would view Cyrus's memories. She confesses her love for him and reveals the whereabouts of the kid. However, she finally decides to do the unthinkable to avoid revealing the kid's location if Cyrus tortures her. Nick is heartbroken by this and forces Cyrus to relive his worst memory forever, which is a crime. This is a memory of him having his face burnt with acid for foul playing his bosses. Finally, he reports to the authorities, and the kid is retrieved while Walter's son is arrested. Nick then reaches out to Watts, who has since landed a nice job, and informs her of the ordeal. He asks her to try her best to reconcile with her daughter. He also apologizes for his rude behavior as he bids her goodbye. He has been prosecuted for burning Cyrus's memories, and will be spending the rest of his life in the Reminiscence machine. The movie ends as Nick is visited by an aging Watts, accompanied by her granddaughter. Nick himself has grown wrinkles, still in the tank, reminiscing his sweet memories with May. In one way or another, their dreams have been fulfilled, with Watts reconciling with her daughter, and Nick reliving the best memories of his life. Thank you for watching, we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for even more videos just like this. Also, while you're here, if you have a movie that you'd like us to recap, let us know in the comment section below, and we'll see you in a new video. Take care.